Hello and welcome to our day 2 hour 1 session where we are going to explore about cameras. But before we begin, I just want you to introduce you to the Unreal marketplace, which is today called as fab.com. For example, when you are building up set in Unreal, say you want a forest, you want a, say for example, a space station. So sometimes what happens is you doesn't have the resource, or you might not be good at 3D modeling. You are a filmmaker and you doesn't know anything about 3D modeling means there is a marketplace where most of the assets are also available to you freely. You can download these assets and you can use it in your project. And this is one of the greatest advantage of using Unreal Engine. So let us explore this marketplace first before we continue with our Unreal Engine journey. So to begin with, I am going to launch my Epic Games launcher, and in the Epic Games launcher, if I come into the library, if you scroll down here, you are seeing one fab library and you have so many contents here, and in the search I am going to type fab and you have one fab UE plugin available here. The very first thing I have to do is I have to install this plugin. So if I click on install to engine, so it will ask to which version it has to get added. I have only one version, 5.5. I will select it and click install. So wait till the installation is over, and now once the installation is done, again if I click install to engine, it is saying that it is already installed. So I will come into my Unreal Engine. In the browser, I am going to come to this website called as fab.com, fab.com, and in fab.com, just like you logged into Epic Games, you have to log in. So it will ask for the email address. Please use the same account that you are using for Epic Games. I had logged in with my satvik@gmail.com account in my Epic Games launcher, and using the same account I will just now log into my fab account. So now I am just logging into the fab account, and once I am logged in, you can see here my account and username can be seen here. And now in this case, you can see that every month a few of these paid assets will be made available to you free of content. So if you click on this limited time free, there will be some assets that you can use free of cost. Say for example, you are making a movie, and in that movie you need, say for example, a factory set. I can just come over here and type factory and press enter, and immediately you can see various factory sets available to me at different prices. Say for example, the entire industrial factory mega pack is available to you at 12,000 rupees. Remember, if you want to model this yourself, it will take you at least 3 weeks. So by paying 12,000 rupees, you are saving 3 weeks of your effort. So sometimes purchasing this, whatever value you are paying, will be very much worth, and you can use these assets in your project. Say for example, initially as you are working, I doesn't want it to be a paid version. I want free assets means here in price, if I come and click on free, you can see so many packs available to you free of cost. So you can use any of these assets without paying anything. So you have a warehouse which I can download and use it without paying any money. Now say for example, for my project now, I need a studio setting. Say I am broadcasting a news, or I am broadcasting some program for a television channel, and I need a complete broadcast studio setting. So then I can come here and search for Broadcast Studio. So, when I search for Broadcast Studio, you can now see that I have enabled the free tag and you have this Warren Marshall's Broadcast Studio available to you free of cost. So, now if you click on this, you will have a feature here called as add to my library. I have already added to this in my library. So, in your Fab account, if you come into my library, you can now see that this asset is available to you free of cost. So, all these assets I have already downloaded and saved it in my account. Now, how to bring this into Unreal Engine? We are going to close this browser and launch Unreal Engine. Now, I am not going to use any of the existing project. I am going to create a new project. So, you have various templates here, games, film, video, you have various templates. I will now come into this film, video and live events. I will select this blank project and I will keep the project defaults as it is, and starter content, it is not required. I will just switch it off. See, this location of the project is in my D drive, which is also a SSD drive. In Unreal Projects folder, I have selected this folder and then I am going to name this project as Broadcast Studio. Now, Unreal Engine again launches. So, now this opens with this default main level. I want to bring the Broadcast Studio asset into this project. To bring the live asset here, I will come into the content drawer, and now once we have enabled the Fab plugin, you can see this tab Fab over here, and I am now going to click on this Fab tab. This has been added because we added the Fab plugin in the launcher. Here I will click on this Fab tab. This opens this Fab window, and on the right hand side you have my library here. So, just click on this my library. You can see all the assets that you have added in your library, and you have Broadcast Studio here. So, I am going to select this Broadcast Studio, and you have an option here, add to project. So, click on this add to project. So, once I click on this, it is going to show to which version it has to be adapted. So, right now it is showing 4.23. I am going to set it to 5.4. It is saying asset not compatible because some of the blueprints may not work correctly, but most of the other assets you can use it. So, I will choose 5.4 my version and click on add to project. So, when I click on add to project, now you can see that this entire asset, which is about 3 GB, is now going to download and it will be added to your assets library. So, once the download is complete, I will close this Fab window, come to content drawer, content, and if you open Broadcast Studio, and in this if I open maps, you have two maps here, overview and showcase. So, now if I select this overview and if I double click and open this, you can now see all the assets that has been used in this available to here. So, using these assets, you can build your actual studio. And then you have showcase, and if I double click on showcase, once you have downloaded it, it is now saying that lighting needs to be rebuilt. So, some of the assets needs to be rebuilt. You can come to the option here build and click on build all levels. So, whenever you take any project from Fab, the first thing you have to do is you have to build the level. So, click on build all levels. So, now all the textures, lighting, blueprints, everything will be built to version 5.5. So, you have to wait for some time till this build process is completed. So, here you can see exporting lighting, building lighting. Now, in the message log, you doesn't see any errors are 0 and you have only 2 warnings here. I can click clear here and I can close this. And now, if you have any issue in importing this thing from Fab, and if you have any problem, what you can do is, in the YouTube video or in the description, I have provided in the description, if you click more here, there is a link here, Patreon link. So, if I click on this Patreon link and if you come to the Patreon page and if you scroll down, here you have a section called attachment, and in this I have placed one file called broadcast_studio.zip. Just click on this file and wait for this file to download to your machine. And now you can see here the download has started. Once the download has been completed, you will have one broadcast_studio.zip file. You just right click and cut it and paste it in your D Unreal project folder. And this is a zip file. This is around 1.11 GB. Then right click and click here extract all. Once it is extracted, double click Broadcast Studio. Actually here what has happened is, there inside you have another folder. So, open this, select all the files, cut this, come to this broadcast folder, that is Unreal Project broadcast_studio folder, paste this, and then this folder is now empty. I will delete this, and now if I come into my Epic Games launcher, open the launcher, and in the library you can now see broadcast_studio. You just double click and open this. But once you open it, you are seeing your main scene. I have to come to content drawer, and in content Broadcast Studio, in maps, if I double click showcase, this is going to open the showcase. One thing you can notice here is, what I have done in this download is, I have replaced the Unreal logo with my company logo. I will just show you how you can customize these downloaded assets. One of the way is by changing the texture. Say for example here, if you come into this Broadcast Studio textures folder, the very first texture you see here is T_blank screen. So, if you double click it, by default you will be seeing the Unreal logo here. You can see that the size of this is 1920 into 1080. So, now what you can do is, open Photoshop and create a new file, come to film and video, and 1920 into 1080, create a new file, this in Photoshop, and I have saved it as satvik_welcome.jpg. So, once you have designed your own screen here at 1920 into 1080 size, I will now close Photoshop and come into my Unreal. I have already opened this texture, and you have one option here called as re-import. If you click re-import, so this satvik_welcome.jpg file will be re-imported here. I have already made the changes. I will save this and I will close this. So, now we have our asset ready. So, before we start working with this showcase, I am now going to go to file and I am going to choose save current level as, and in content I am going to now create a new folder and I am going to call this as my levels, and inside this my levels I am going to give it the name as my studio and I will click save. If I come to content drawer and here in the content, if I right click and if I open this show in Explorer, you can now see in Broadcast Studio, in content, in my levels, you have my studio.umap file. And if I come back to content Broadcast Studio, and if you see the maps here, you can now see that every map is attached with a build data uasset file. So this will be created when you build your level. So now if I come here, you can see that again it is showing that it has to be rebuilt. So if I come to build and click on build all levels, now the levels will be rebuilt. I have to again wait. Now once the level is built, I will close this message log, come into content drawer, and in content my levels, along with my studio, a new file has been created, which is my studio underscore build data. This file is created. This contains the build content. So whenever you save a level, see that you build all the lights so that you have the exact effect that you have applied. I can go to file and choose save all. So now my set is ready. I have customized it with my own studio so that my original file is still safe. So if I make any modification here, and if I want to get back to my original showcase file, I can come to content drawer, Broadcast Studio, maps, and I can open this. But coming to content my levels, I am using this my studio to do the editing. Now the second thing is, whenever I launch my project, I want this to be launched. To show you an example, see now if I quit Unreal and if I launch Epic Games Launcher, and in Epic Game Launcher, if I come to library and if I launch this Broadcast Studio, you will see that this main level is open. But when I launch it, I doesn't want this main level to be open. I want my studio to be open. This content drawer, my levels, I have this my studio. I want this level to be open. So to do this, I can come into edit, project settings, and in project setting, if I come here and choose maps, if I type maps, you have here editor startup map. You can select this editor startup map option, and instead of main, now choose my studio, and game default map also choose this as my studio. So once I make this change and once I close this, and now if I save this and if I exit Unreal and if I again launch this Broadcast Studio, the default level will be my studio. So now we have this ready, and if I come into this outliner, you can see all the components present here. I have one lighting folder, render effects, and you have all the components related to this present here. See, you have all the components here. So what I am now going to do is, to organize it better, I am going to create a new folder and I am going to call this as Broadcast Studio, so that all the assets of Broadcast Studio, starting from here, I will scroll down and select all the assets. I will drag it up and I will drag this and put it into this Broadcast underscore studio folder, so that all the asset related to this Broadcast underscore studio is placed inside this folder. Now before we explore our camera, I just want here someone to sit here and read the news. Say for example, I will just come into this scene here, I will scroll up and middle mouse click, turn here, and on this chair here I want a person to be seated and reading the news. So right now we are not going to work on the 3D mannequins or 3D characters, that we will discuss it later. In this session I am going to now put my own video here, which is shot in green screen, and place it over here and make it look like I am sitting there and reading. So to create this effect, The very first thing is I have already provided you with a green screen video, or you yourself in your mobile phone can record your own video behind a green screen or a plain background, and after you record some 10 or 15 seconds video. Now for this example I have already provided this video. So if you click on this Patreon link and if you open it, if you scroll down in attachments, I have provided you one file called as demi_recording.mp4 file. So click on this and download this file to your folder. Say for example here I have downloaded it to my downloads folder. If I double click or if I open this clip, you are seeing my video shot against a green background. I want it to be placed here. So for that, the very first thing is I have to key out the green area and create my alpha channeled image sequence or a video. Now the very first step is I have to remove the green screen and create an alpha image sequence. This can be easily done in Unreal, but we have a better tool. For example, so in Google, if you just type DaVinci Resolve, the very first link here takes you to this DaVinci Resolve page, and here if you scroll down, you can freely download this software and install it on your machine. Download this and install it, and once you have done the installation, then you can launch this DaVinci Resolve. And now in this screen I am going to now create a new project. I am going to call this as Chroma, as I am going to key it. So in this Chroma project I will come into this edit mode, and in this edit mode here I am going to first in the master window here I will right click and I am going to choose import media, and I am going to come to the folder where I downloaded my demi_recording.mp4 file and click open. So it is asking change project frame rate, click change, and once the project frame rate is changed, I am going to right click on this and I am going to choose create new timeline using selected clip, and I am going to give this a name. I am going to call this as Chroma, and I am, instead of using the project setting, I will disable it and I will come into format, and here I will set its size to 1000 by 1000 and click create. So now I have a 1000 by 1000 frame and I have this video. I will select this video. I will open the inspector. So once the inspector tab is open, I will just zoom it with this lock on. I will zoom it along both the axis and fit it into the screen like this, and if required along the y axis and x axis, slightly move it and adjust the position. And after this I want to crop off the other area here, only the green screen I need. So I will move down and click on cropping, and along the left I will just move it and crop it a little till here. Along the right I will crop it till here, and top I will crop it almost till here, and left I will crop it a little so that this edge is totally removed. Now I have to key out this green color. So for that I will come into effects, and in the search I am going to type key, and you have 3D keyer here. I will drag this 3D keyer and put it on my clip here. So once I add it in this inspector effects, you can see this. Now I am going to come over here, and in transform I am going to choose this open effects overlay, and now I will click the plus button here, and I am going to just in the effects open effect click on this plus button and drag on this green screen so that it turns fully black. So similarly here also I am going to drag it and make all this area black. see, be careful, now the hair is also removed. So, I will come back to minus here and I will just enable the hair area, see like this. So, I will enable the hair area and again take this plus tool and drag it here and adjust, so that I will drag it here so that this all this chroma area is removed. I will move down and enable this despill. I will keep it maximum at 1 and I will open key adjustment and set the tolerance level. See that this mouth is not getting removed. So, I will just set the tolerance level here and softness I will keep it maximum, and with these settings done, now I will just play and see that the clip is correctly keyed, and once I am happy with the keying, then go to this export setting here and name this file as chroma keyed, and in the location select location. I am going to save it at any location here. So, in clips I will create a new folder called as chroma keyed, and inside this I will save this. Only thing now is, instead of format QuickTime, I will scroll and select PNG, set the color to RGB 8-bit and enable this export alpha. Do not forget to enable this, and once you have enabled this, now add this to the render queue and click on render all. So, when you click on render all, this entire sequence will now be rendered. Now, once it is rendered, you can come here and you can see the chroma keyed alpha channel images that has been rendered here. Okay, so now in this chroma keyed folder, I have all my frames. I have around 1204 frames. Now, what I have to do is select all these frames. I am going to right click and select this entire folder where I had saved all the images. I will now come to my D drive Unreal Project Broadcast Studio, and in the content I am now going to right click and paste this. This should be inside my project folder. So, once I have put this into the project folder, 1204 changes, you can click on the import button here, so that all the 1200 files are now imported. So, and now you can see here all the 1204 files are converted into texture and it is saved. You can see all these images here. Now, I am going to come back into content, and you have this folder chroma keyed which contains all the images. Now, here I am going to right click and I am now going to come into media, and I am going to now create this image media source. So, I will select this and I am going to name this now as reader, that is news reader. I am now going to double click this, and now in the sequence path I am going to click on this file path, and now I am going to come into my D drive Unreal Project Broadcast Studio content chroma key, and I am going to select this PNG files and I am going to click open, and then see that this fill gaps in sequence is on, and in frame rate set this to 30 frames per second, and then on the top you have an option called open. So, when I click on open, you can see my background transparent video imported into my reader. Now, I will click the save button to save this, and I am going to close this. So, now I have this reader component ready. Now, I will just drag this reader component onto my stage like this. So, once I drag this, I am going to pull it and place it. So, I will just zoom here, right click and turn around, then press D and move to the side a little like this. I am going to move this and place it just above this table like this, and then I will come into the front view, zoom out, middle mouse click, pan and right click, and I will tilt. I will press E, I will move up, I will press Q and come down, or I will press E and slightly move it here, and I am going to adjust this position exactly to cover this chair like this. Now, if I come to file and if I click save all, and after I save this, so you can now see that all the assets are getting saved. Now, once it is saved, if I come here and choose simulate, you can see my image running here, but the only issue is the background is not transparent. So, to make it transparent, I will stop this. I will select this reader, and if I will come into the details panel here, and in the details panel, as I scroll down here, you can see the playlist, and if I move down, you have materials here, and you have this select media plate. I will click on this and I will choose the masked option, and now if I come here and choose simulate, now you can see that the background is now transparent. Now, I will stop this simulation, go to file and click save all, and then I will go to build and click on build all levels. Okay, so now the build option is over. It is saying map check found some issues, show message log. There are two warnings. You can clear this, close this, and then I am now going to click on this reader. Now click here open media plate, click the open button here, save this, and once you save this and close this, you can now see the preview is available here. And now when I play this, you can see the video is playing. So I will stop the playback. See, based on this, I can even scale it if required. So I will come to scale, and I will slightly scale this by around 0.7 units, and I will slightly move it down like this, so that, and to the left a little like this. Okay, so I am going to do these adjustments here, and now you can see that my image is placed over here, and I can play it and see my speech running. So now let us save all this content. Now we have successfully created a broadcast studio. So what I want you to do is just take your mobile camera and record your video against a plain background like this green background, key it out in DaVinci Resolve, make it a PNG sequence, and take this broadcast studio, place your image, and just take a screenshot and share it. So with this, we are going to conclude our first hour of day 2, where we have successfully created this studio setup, and in our second hour, we are going to start working with cameras.